Ladies and gentlemen, the first man to build 21-inch biceps, drug-free.
My friends, excuse me, I'm making this video primarily because I'm looking at the situation with Donald Sterling, and I'm telling this is my perspective, and this I want you, all of you, to know that I'm a news junkie for one, and that I analyze everything, and I'm not a herd follower. I don't follow the mentality or the prevailing wisdom or the prevailing uproar. Now, let me tell you something. Donald Sterling is not a monster. He's not a monster. Donald Sterling, I'm in his range bracket. I understand his mentality. He doesn't hate blacks as it's coming across. He has contempt simply because I was bred up in the same environment this man is bred. It's in his brain, it's deep there, the contempt they had for my people. When I was growing up, there were no blacks in basketball, no blacks in baseball, no blacks in football. It's beyond the comprehension of young people. You see, they grew up. You young people today grew up, and you can't imagine how it was in this country, how we were ostracized. You can't imagine it. You grew up to seeing blacks in basketball, baseball, movies. We weren't in nothing when I was growing up. We were just looked upon as an inferior bunch with no future. It's hard for young people to understand, but we have a horrible history in this country of relationship with blacks. Things have changed so dramatically, it spins my head. See, Donald's mind has not changed from that basic mentality. I mean, it changed. He doesn't necessarily hate black people. He just don't think that highly of them because he grew up into a society that actually condemned us. I mean, you have no idea. We were practically ostracized. You know, it was so bad in this country, when you were driving, you had to drive miles because they wanted you to use the restroom in the gas stations. At that time when Donald was growing up, the army was segregated, black troops and white troops. I mean, it was just something that most of you are jumping on the bandwagon, calling this man a monster. This man is conditioned. If you look at him and see, he's conflicted with all his billions. He's conflicted. Now he has this thing with black men, yet the woman, his girlfriend, is black and Mexican, which he discriminates against. They show you how basically he's not a monster. I mean, I feel because I realize how he's been conditioned in his mindset. Because listen, my friends, you know this guy in the cattle thing that don't want to pay the taxes. He had the same basic mentality. Blacks were better off picking cotton because they had the white man to look out for them. Didn't have. It's still in their head. Here he is saying, I clothe them, I feed them, talking about the basketball players, just like he's a plantation owner, because that's in his mind. But he doesn't hate black people per se. He still have that contempt. He can't get out of it, of black people being losers. I mean, in the South, they wouldn't even address a black man as Mr. He was boy. The contempt is beyond comprehension to people. Young people that's growing up, the young people of 40, 50, or the people that are growing up, they just cannot imagine this is the way it was in this country. I mean, restaurants blacks couldn't go into. They just had this general contempt. Can you imagine the blacks in basketball, baseball, football, and dominating basketball. But when I grew up, they weren't allowed to play. An Oprah Winfrey was beyond comprehension in my day. I mean, if you mention it, they think you were nuts. Has an overweight black woman, the richest woman in TV. And at that time, we couldn't even get on TV. Well, when I was, young, they didn't have TV. See, I'm in this man's age bracket. And I was railing against him. No, you're not railing against him, but not looking at him like everybody's coming down on this man like he's a mass murderer. This man contributed millions of dollars to charity. He's not a mean-spirited man. He just does not have respect for black people. It's so deep ingrained in him. Now, he had the nerve to say he buys them clothes. That's how he thinks he's responsible. That's that mentality. He cannot, in those days, my friend, if you were too friendly to a black man, they called you a nigger lover. It was horrible. It was absolutely, if you try to compare today to yesterday to today, it's just no comparison. That's why I say it's the greatest country in the world, because the advancement made among my people would have just been beyond anything you could dream of. It's like walking to the moon. That's how ostracized black people were. They were just ostracized, held in total contempt. Weren't good at nothing. Couldn't be good at nothing. We were lazy, shiftless, dumb, and need to be taken care of by the white man. This was the mentality. This man, just listen to him when he says, I buy them cars. He don't even have idea. He don't buy shit. When he bought the franchise, $15 million it was worth. He bought it for $15 million. It's now $600 million. Where do you think it came from? It came from the guys in the ball game. He's getting all this income from commercials and the team, and the team is black. But in his mind, he can't see it as that. He's taking care of them, and they're the ones that's bringing in the money, not him. He made an investment. He didn't make an investment in GM. Okay, he made his investment in human beings, black ball players. They're the ones that bring in the money, but it just can't comprehend. In his mind, he's taking care of them. And and that's why I say he's not a monster. I mean, to crucify him. And I thought this over, because initially, you get up with the herd, and I said, but what did this man do? All he's saying is, I have contempt for black people. That's what he's saying. That's what he's saying. And you crucify him. I can understand it's a new era. It's just like saying, I want to try to compare a typewriter to a computer today, a manual typewriter. It's a new era that his mind hasn't been able to fully comprehend. It just cannot be. It's such a change in this man's basic mentality that he just cannot look at black people as the same as him. Don't bring black people to my game, he told his girlfriend. That's how stupid he is. Not stupid, but how out of it he is. Because he just cannot, but his players are all black, 75, 80% black. And he said, don't bring him to his game. And I don't feel particularly sorry. The man is a multi-billionaire. Screw him. But I just see people just won't think. And they're coming down on him. My God, you think he was a mass murderer? I understand that this is the new era. You can't get away with that today. His mindset is so fixed from what it was. He hasn't transformed himself. He can't. Just like that guy, as I said, in the cattle thing, didn't want to pay his taxes. He's trying to, in his mind, blacks would have been better off. They didn't learn how to work. They don't know how to work now. Imagine that. They knew how to work when they were picking cotton. This is how entrenched. That's why I tell you something, man. This country is going to save, I hate to say it, dramatically when all these old guys die. Because the young fellas, They couldn't even think in the way these guys are setting their minds. That's why you find they say the Republican Party is the party of the old white men, hanging on to the end of what was. I mean, things that we take for granted today was unheard of. In the South, a white guy married a black woman and they arrested him. It's against the law. They were both jailed. That's how bad it was. You say that now, people think you're nuts. They think you're nuts. I mean, and the younger the fellas are, the less they can even comprehend. They see progressive blacks all around them, and also the black youth. They don't know no more about the history and the struggle of the black man than the man in the moon. So you see, my friends, I just want you to think, and most 99% of you young people have no concept of the history of this country and why you got a guy that would say the things that he said. And you know something? Years ago, what he said would have been par for the course. I mean, being racist would be that we suppose if you weren't racist, something was wrong with you not to be a racist. But as I said before, racist, these people were racist because they really were, they act out, barring blacks from theaters, barring blacks from loans, barring black, any way they could impede the progress of the black man, those people did. And that was racism. And as a matter of fact, they made a poll quite a few years ago. How did people feel? Did people support or against interracial marriage? The vast majority of people in this country was against interracial marriage. Interracial marriage, I didn't even talk about it now. So it got them on the covers and all that now. Don't even talk about it. That was something that the whole country had this mindset. Blacks were inferior. Blacks they're lazy. Blacks don't want to do something. This is like a set mindset. And as I said before, think about it. Think about this man saying he buys them clothes. He buys, just like he's a plantation owner. And the team is all black. And he buys them. In other words, if he wasn't there, they'd all be broke. You know, it's a mindset. And so that's why I say things have changed. And I grew up and I can understand this. Most people don't. And the ones that know, basically, because there's a lot of black guys that knew him personally, found no problem in him. He just had that deep mindset that blacks are inferior. That's all. And that ain't gonna, it's too late to change now because he's on his last leg when he gets that number. But I grew up with that. I understand his mindset. Not that I'm saying I could just forgive him, but I understand where he's coming from, and it's harmed him. And you know what's funny thing, my friends? It makes me laugh. This guy's very charitable. And some of these crazy, stupid charities that's going along with it are returning his money. See, some kind of, I think it's UCLA returning $400,000. Now, what sense does that make? Who's gaining from that? The man didn't make his money in drugs. So who's gaining? He need the money like you need a hole in your head. So what do? All for show. Everything is show now. People are so politically correct, so frank, so intent on saying, see, I'm not like him. But he has done some racist things. And don't think for once I'm sitting there supporting him. I just want you people to think and understand where this man came from. And you'll notice something else. You don't find no young people talking like him. They have no experience with that kind of history. No, they could not talk that way or feel that way because they have no experience in it. But this man experienced what it is and what he put in his head where we stand, and he can get rid of it. So that's what I'm saying is, I'm saying it really because as I thought about it, and I said, my God, they're crucifying this guy. Well, you know, when you get that kind of money, you think you can say anything. But you see, he didn't say it in public. He said it to that gal that knew that eventually she could use it against him, but he didn't say that in public. He wasn't like that idiot Bundy fellow, that ranch thing with the government and taxes. He said what he said in public. This guy said it between him and his biracial girlfriend, which really, if you think about it, see how ridiculous it is. She's black and Mexican, the same one he didn't want to live in this apartment. Unbelievable. I mean, he owns a lot of real estate in Los Angeles. You know, he didn't want blacks and Mexicans to live in his apartment, but his girlfriend is black and Mexican. You answer it. Anyhow, that's my take. And you know, I got a perspective on everything. Think it over. I don't expect anything to change per se, but just think it over and realize he's not the monster that they're trying to make him. My friends, to be continued.
Wait a minute. Before you click away, I want you to subscribe, like, comment, hell, even dislike if you want to. At least do something before you get out of here.